I'm not exactly sure who this map favors. I know a lot of people like this map for Undead because of the ease of hitting the middle expansions with a tier 3 timing, as well as just being able to creep well to get level 3 DK. But I do think Elf is also pretty solid at this map because they can also get level 3 pretty easily and have some decent Ancient War creeps along the side of the map that they can use for their second hero while harassing with their first hero. Or they can also snipe the center creeps either with an entangle on here or just tanking with like a DH here. It'll definitely be interesting to see what they decide to do, and whether we see Keeper or DH, and whether we see Death Knight or something different. It looks like Eworm is going for fast Death Knight, so he may be either looking to harass or looking to creep a green with Death Knight plus Rod. And yeah, at the top right we have our purple undead Eworm, and at the bottom left we have our yellow night elf Grinchy. He is going for the demon hunter, so no keeper. And he is again going for the safer green camp to get a permanent rather than a consumable. And I personally like this choice because I think the permanent is generally pretty good. You can still get level 3 with the 3 green spots plus 1 orange being the gold mine. And then you can get the consumable later with like your Naga or whoever, and have that consumable in the mid game instead, or the end game, where it can have oftentimes a larger impact. But yeah, we do see the Death Knight coming out. And he is looking to creep, I believe. Just now finding a critter to get skeletons. Oh, he's actually going back. I personally would have probably just crept this at that point if he was that far away. He missed these critters, sadly. Let's see if he does this right. Gets the purge off on the DK. Does gotta make sure to pull the skeletons back here. Ooh. Not really a necessary detonate, but I mean, still not terrible because it did hit one of the skeletons, and I don't believe it hit the Death Knight though. Grinchy, on the other hand, is level 2, has slippers, which is pretty good. I keep scrolling for some reason, moving my mouse too far. Setting up a third Moonwell, has his tech underway. So he's sitting in good shape. I do think he should have just continued creeping rather than healing after this. But I guess he healed because he wanted to harass. It definitely can be good, especially when you know it's a solo Death Knight like this, because he's very vulnerable to creepjack. And you can get rid of the rest of his mana, and then he's going to be sitting there at half health, no mana. Yeah, we do see him spotting him. Yeah, this is going to be rough for our undead player. He's going to have to just back out of here. And now he's used 3 rods and got 148 XP at the cost of like almost all of his mana plus a couple hundred health. So it has been pretty costly for our undead player. Only getting 1 item, and like I said, not even level 2. Grinchy doing a wise choice here. Stealing creeps. So this is the benefit of going across the map rather than continuing to creep his side, is that he knew Eworm was creeping with just solo DK, so he didn't have much at the time. Now he's coming in with his full ghoul force though, and GNL needs to be a little careful for surrounds. Does manage to slip away and steals the item. Wand of Illusion can have a lot of value later and some scouting value early, so that should be good for him. And Eworm still has not hit level 2. He should get it here. We'll see if GNL decides to harass again. His tech has finished as well, and he picks up a panda. So a bit afraid of ghoul gargs, I guess. Which might be the case, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like with the double crypt it should be ghoul garg, so panda definitely the right choice. And he's looking to be aggressive again. I do think a play that GNL could go for is getting maybe like a Staff of Telly on his DH and be aggressive with the DH while the panda goes back and creeps like the green murlocs, the gold mine, and then okay, we'll watch this. Just trying to get positioning. GNL really wants to steal this, but he is investing mana burns and taking a bit of damage. So he needs to be a little careful. But Eworm can't really fight this either, because once the breath comes out and the Demon Hunter focus, those ghouls will die quite quickly. Eworm should be able to snipe the ogre though. GNL a little bit slow here. So he does manage to get that and pull away. His ghouls have taken a lot of damage, so GNL can clean up the camp if he wants. But I still think overall not bad for Eworm, because he got the big item, he got the experience for it, and he didn't lose anything. But yeah, GNL should consider either trying to snipe the middle trolls here and getting the item, or having the panda like solo creep this, as well as having his Ancient of War, yeah, walk over, which it is doing now, to here or here. He's actually going to look to creep the shop, which is definitely viable as well, but you do take quite a bit of damage with the poison damage, and just your heroes take a lot of bit of damage because of the high normal damage here. Needs to be a little careful with this panda. If he gets spotted by the undead, this panda could easily die to one coil. Our undead player, on the other hand, is going for the lab. He has 4 gargs out, and we may see some sort of harass after this, now that he'll be level 3. Gets a pendant of energy, which definitely can be extremely powerful. It's nice to have a bit of extra mana when you're against a Demon Hunter burning away half your mana. GNL, on the other hand, does get a Sobi mask from that center camp, which is definitely a pretty good item, as well as reaches level 3 on his demon. He does need to still get the panda to 3 at some point, but he is sitting pretty strong. And now that he has Orb of Venom, he can actually just park his Demon Hunter to defend. We'll lose 1 Wisp here. But yeah, he needs to make sure to keep creeping with the panda and defend with the demon. You definitely don't want your panda to just be kind of stagnant, not accomplishing much. But yeah, we'll see how he decides to move here. He has his army sitting in his base. Really needs to get some creeping done, because otherwise he's just going to be scared, and the undead's just going to keep getting camps and some small pickoffs on this. Okay, he is starting to go in. His archers have still been left behind, and he is potentially splitting XP with the DH. Okay, he does pull it away after doing a bit of damage. Yeah, I think he really should bring his archers in, and then just have his DH with like a Staff of Telly to defend if needed. But either way, gets a Ring of Regen. Panda getting close to 3. Demon should get some burns off here. It would have been nice to burn that statue, because his demon has plenty of mana to use on a burn, and dealing damage to the statue can be pretty huge. Eworm, on the other hand, has started tech to tier 3, adding another Zig to reach 50 food. Our Undead player actually has quite a bit of bank here, and Grinchy does actually go for the burn this time, and will be able to pick off this statue with one more burn. Maybe just a couple right clicks. Okay, goes for the burn instead. Does lose a Dryad. It ended up rallied to his demon rather than his panda. It was definitely supposed to be rallied to the panda instead, but as we can see here, they keep going to his demon instead. Does need to be a little careful here. He's tanking the creeps and the undead army. Dryad misrallied again and does get picked off, and those are big pickoffs. You really don't want to lose those early Dryads, because then the undead just gets too overwhelming of an air army. And not only that, but this should not be the fight Grinchy takes. He does have bear form already, but he has not actually morphed into a bear, and he does not have level 3 panda. He does have the level 3 demon, which is quite strong. As you can see, the undead is a bit scared of that, but honestly this army isn't too scary from the elf. And as soon as our undead player gets Nova from the Lich out, as well as maybe even just like 2, 3, 4 ghouls, this army looks like nothing to the undead. Grinchy did manage to scare him off though, which is quite good. I did not think he would be able to do that so easily, but Eworm decided to not like back off and grab a heal scroll and continue fighting. He decided to just completely back off. Heal up on Blight. And yeah, Grinchy finally reaches level 3. Gets heal wards, which can be extremely strong, particularly against Disease Cloud later. And he's continuing to just mass Dryads. I think with a panda, you can definitely do that. You can just mass Dryads and actually fight Dryads versus Gargs. Without the panda, you more of need some other way to get an advantage. But yeah, we have a fight coming out here. Demon Hunter putting in work, but the Dryads are dying quickly. And now that there's a Nova as well, these archers are starting to become fodder. You see some nice focus fire from the undead. Demon Hunter needs to keep getting burns off. Either Lich, Death Knight, even the statues, all would be good. Panda, a bit low on mana now. Will have another breath soon, especially because he has a Sobi. But yeah, this is what I was saying. This undead army is definitely going to be quite scary once the ghouls and the Lich arrive, and that's exactly the case. Even though there was a level 3 panda, you just can't fight undead armies with a small force like this. You need just like an overwhelming force where you can also get off quite a few breath of fires in between. But Grinchy is pumping a lot more Dryads. We'll be able to reach 50 again soon. The problem is, for our Night Elf player, is that the Undead has already picked up a 3rd hero now and has pushed towards 60 food, so he's starting to get quite a scary army. Mixing in an A-bomb, likely going to get Disease Cloud at some point too, if he has not already done so. Grinchy on the other hand did move his Ancient War up to the red, should be able to clear this camp fairly easily. Does lose the Archer, which actually kind of hurts because you would really like any extra anti-air you can have. But gets a Warsong Battle Drums, which is pretty strong. The extra damage will help a decent amount. Particularly just on his heroes even, like having that extra damage on the demon can be quite strong. But with a level 5 Death Knight already out, it's looking quite scary. The Undead, however, did take level 3 Aura rather than Coil, so prioritizing the regen and movement speed as opposed to just coil damage. And I kind of disagree with that, especially with the pendant. I think situationally it can be good if you already have no mana and you don't really have good mana sustain. But yeah, DH dropping weak here, coil coming out, and he actually survives the coil because it was only a level 2 coil. That was pretty lucky for Grinchy. He should have been dead there if the Undead had taken level 3 coil rather than level 3 aura. Not sure if it was a misclick by the Undead or intentional. Yeah, now the Panda kind of in an awkward spot. Does decide to just TP out. Might lose a Dryad though during the... Okay. Barely manages to survive. But now his expansion going to be immediately cancelled. If he even spots this. Hopefully he remembers to cancel this. The Undead definitely scouted it, but for some reason didn't kill it yet. Maybe just didn't realize. Not sure. But he was definitely within range. He was like right here, right? Should definitely have had vision of it. I think he'll notice it in like a few seconds and be like, oh wait, why didn't I just kill that? Okay, we see some illusions coming out. I think I probably would have preferred just one to scout with and then kind of save them for the real fight, especially because there's no destroyers. But yeah, the Undead did realize it was here, just waited for it to get a little bit farther along. Grinchy does get a nice cancel though. And we just see more creeping. But our Night Elf is going, or has already broke to 51. A bit awkward. But yeah, he will push to 58 now with an MG. MGs can be decent against Gargs just to get a couple taunts, as well as taunting some of these ground units so that your heroes aren't dropping low. And he actually has too many items here. Having to kill a couple. This fight is definitely awkward for our Night Elf though. Gets one Dryad picked off immediately. And now he just has to run. And he has no... Okay, he does have a TP. And has a staff as well. But yeah, with just a level 3 DH against a level 5 DK, it's getting quite awkward. And running against Gargs, especially when he actually has level 3 aura, is pretty rough. As we can see, he's lost 2 Dryads already, another one half health, a second one half health, and yeah, this Undead's just getting a lot done, with Grinchy not actually taking any fights. Now, I do think Grinchy shouldn't really be taking this fight, because he's too weak for it, but I also think running like this is just not working out for him either. And now he's going to have to try to pass something, but there's no inventory space on his Panda to pass over. Okay, manages to get away. Moonwell's coming out. And yeah, Grinchy dropped a lot of food there and did basically nothing in return damage. And that's one of the mechanics of Night Elf vs Undead. You just can't really run against Undead. If you get stuck in a fight like that and then you're just running the whole time, they will continue to just pick off tons of stuff. We do see a fight taking place now. Gargs getting a little bit mismicroed here. Finally gets them targeting the Dryads, and now the Dryads are dropping quickly. Breath coming out. Gargs are half health. And I don't believe we even have a heal scroll for the Undead, so that's a little awkward. Grinchy could get quite a few kills here because of no heal scroll. He just needs to continue to buy time until his Panda has another breath. And if he can manage to get some high level heroes, level 5, Grinchy could come back into this. That actually went quite well for him. I think the Undead just had a bit of mismicro there. He was definitely in a favorable position, but there was just a lack of targeting on the Dryads. So Grinchy managed to find enough time to get a few breaths off, a haze, and the Gargs were just spreading their damage among like the heroes, the giant, when really they should have just been right-clicking all the different Dryads one by one. So yeah, that actually brings Grinchy quite back into this. Now the Undead, however, had quite a bit of bank and has opted to expand. So this is a lot of gold invested, but if he manages to complete it, it will definitely be scary for our Night Elf player. Let's see, does he pick up Invuln? He does. Could go for a heal scroll as well, although oftentimes less important against Gargs. And Shredder, 31 health. Yeah, these elf heroes are starting to get scary, but they really need to hit that last bit of XP and reach level 5. And it looks like Grinchy did not scout the expansion, maybe just not expecting it. Very nice burn though on the Death Knight. Getting him as low mana as you can beforehand is extremely powerful. But fighting into an undead base is not going to be ideal. We see one Dryad getting targeted immediately, but then he switches focus to the Panda, and there is nothing to protect it, so he just has to staff it out. And now Grinchy really does not want to be fighting in an undead base without his Panda. He is still decently strong with his Demon Hunter, but with some good focus fire here from the Undead on the Dryads, they are dropping quickly, and the Elf is just not getting any return kills at all. Grinchy does pull them away nicely, but now is DH getting focused, and he should just TP out. I think TP rather than Invuln was the correct play, and he does realize he needed to just TP out after, but maybe a little bit of a waste on the Invuln there. And he actually does have a counter expo up as well. Eworm, on the other hand, invested heavily. Triple Zig, Haunted Gold Mine, triple Spirit Tower. And now he can produce two Acolytes out of each of these Necropolis Citadels to get his mine up and running once he remembers. Sure, he'll start doing it soon. But yeah, this is I do believe it's starting to look better and better for Grinchy now. The Undead expansion is definitely a bit scary, but he managed to get his own expansion up, and he saturated it before the Undead even saturated his own. Okay. Oh, that's why he wasn't producing Acolytes. His own mine was finishing at the same time. So he just wanted to wait. Yeah, Gargs tried to do a little bit of rest, but just had to pull back. Normally you see more damage upgrades on the Gargs, but instead he's looked to just push past 50 food and get just overwhelming numbers instead of damage. Our Night Elf player, on the other hand, has already pushed to 2-1 upgrades, which is definitely pretty powerful. No current upgrades along the way, but he only just got his mine saturated, and his main is also mined out. And now it might actually be quite passive for a while. The Undead is content with just chilling. Like, the camps are pretty much crept. I'm not sure if there's anything left here. It shows an orange spot on the map, but I feel like he probably pulled and crept that. Otherwise, I think he would have gone and done that already. I'm not sure. I can't remember if he did creep that or not though, because I don't remember the item either. Like what consumable he got. But yeah, the Undead is actually coming in here, and this should be a bit more favorable for the Elf being near his own base. And getting focus fire on the Panda right away, definitely good for the Elf, because you want your heroes and your giants to tank more damage and have your Dryads get time here. But the Pit Lord reaches 3, and now Eworm is going off on the Dryads instead of the Panda. Panda finally arriving again, gets a haze, should get a breath here too. Oh, he's blocking himself with his Dryad. But he might be able to reach the Moonwell just in time. Get another Moonwell. He actually picks off the Lich in the background. A little bit of missed micro from our Undead. And again, we see the coil not being enough because he took level 3 Aura instead of level 3 coil. Not sure if that was a misclick from earlier, but it has actually cost him 2 hero kills he could have got. Because the heroes had like, you know, less than 70 health or something after the coils. And yeah, we do see our Undead picking up the Lich, but having to back off. He just lost too much when he was chasing the Panda, and he didn't actually manage to kill the Panda. So very good by Grinchy to keep his heroes alive. And I would like to see even more purchases of invulns, heal potions, just things to keep your heroes alive. Because at this point in time, with a level 5 DH, getting close to a level 5 Panda, and just starting to build up a pretty huge army, your main worry is the Undead will just take out your heroes. So anything you can do to keep them alive is extremely powerful. Would be nice to see something like an invuln for the Panda, and then like a heal scroll plus a TP maybe. So yeah, he does get an invuln. And then heal scroll could be nice, especially because some of these Dryads are weak already. Otherwise, a TP and maybe even a mana potion for the Panda could be good. His gold is a little low to buy a TP right now, so he has not done so.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yeah, we see a little scuffle here. We might see him try to get some mana burns off, but he does get a Dryad a little bit mismicroed and focused down by these Gargs. You definitely have to be extremely careful because Orb of Corruption plus Gargs can quickly take down Dryads. Looks like he wants to get some mana burns off, but it's going to be quite hard to really get in there and mana burn these heroes without just getting Nova'd and focused in return. Does end up staffing the DH just to heal it, and does finally buy a town portal. But again, a little bit of miss micro here. Had his army too close, DH not here, and immediately gets 2 Dryads picked off with nothing done in return really. Just a tiny bit of chip damage on the Death Knight. So you gotta be really careful whenever you do not have both your heroes together as Elf. But now, we do see the fight finally taking place, Panda getting his breath off. I think the haze had just finished right when the breath went off, so we didn't get the extra effect. Panda dropping weak, does still have an invuln and a staff available. Needs to be careful though. Ooh, does not watch his Panda close enough and ends up losing it. Invuln forced on the Death Knight, and Grinchy losing a lot of Dryads here. Just wasn't totally prepared for this fight. Had 2 Dryads picked off before the fight even took place. His Demon Hunter finally arrived, and then he ended up losing his Panda because just didn't monitor it close enough. He still had an invuln on it, still had a staff ready as well. And our Undead player has now taken a decent position in this game. It was looking better for the Night Elf, but after that fight, we see a 20 food advantage. Death Knight is almost 6, which means he will finally get that level 3 coil he's been dying to have. He has opted for level 2 Howl instead of level 2 Cleave. So similar to the previous match we saw with Grinchy in a Night Elf mirror, the Night Elf also had a Pit Lord and he chose to go for Howl instead of Cleave. But really you want higher level Cleave typically, and especially against Dryads that you're not really going to be howling down anyways. I mean, obviously Howl will still help against the heroes, but you're mostly scared of Dryads and Panda's magic damage attacking your Gargs, I feel. And there could be some manual abolish to get rid of the Howl anyways. So Cleave definitely should have been the optimal choice. Yeah, we see it as an engagement here. Dark's getting focused on the Panda once again. Should make sure to use an invuln. Does get it off this time. And we'd like to see him get another breath off before having to staff his Panda out. Death Knight actually goes for Death Pact. So a 2-1-3 build, and the Panda does go down again. Did not get the staff off in time, and Grinchy calls the GG. So a bit of missed micro at times, just losing too many Dryads and not getting the proper fights off that he wanted. I think our Night Elf player was not in the greatest spot for a while, but then he actually ended up taking the lead after the one fight where the Undead didn't focus properly. But then he again lost the lead after losing his Panda and just losing too many Dryads for nothing. You got to make sure in these type of fights that whenever an engagement takes place that you're actually taking it. You can't just run around, because there were so many Dryads lost where the elf was just running and not actually fighting. So you need to make sure if you're in those positions where a fight might take place that you're just ready for a fight at all times. This is a GNL match, which is Gym Newbie League. And we're underway. Let's see if they change anything up. It looks like our blue Night Elf spawning in the top left. Grinchy is just going for a standard build. Not sure yet if Demon Hunter or Keeper. And he's bringing a Wisp down. I think he will actually go for an Ancient of War here and creep the gold mine as opposed to the Merc camp. And that can be extremely powerful. So yeah, I feel like this type of build is more common to see maybe like a Keeper and then Fast Expo, but we shall see what he does. The Undead, on the other hand, goes for a Ghoul build, same time Altar and Crypt. So we will possibly be seeing just a Death Knight expansion, maybe? Like Fast Expo. Possibly creeping one of the greens to get some skeletons first. And I'll wait for that Zig to finish. Yeah, it is going to be the Keeper from our Night Elf, and will likely also be a Fast Expo. And our Undead, setting up the second Ziggurat. And he's actually going for the Lich, not a Death Knight. But it will probably be a fast expansion. So definitely going to be interesting seeing different heroes now. Lich instead of Death Knight, Keeper instead of Demon. And will Grinchy go for the Entangle on this? He does. And I think it's not a terrible choice, especially with how long this Ancient of War takes to walk over anyways. So you don't really lose too much by taking that out. The main thing you lose is the ability to summon Treants for this creep, which means this creep will take a bit longer. Unless he does decide to use an Entangle on it, which is definitely possible. He does, however, need to make sure to eat a tree. You always want to eat a tree. And yeah, he should have brought it over here first. Now he's taken over 300 damage before the tree even gets eaten. And wisely goes for an Entangle, and he was going to need that because this tree has taken a lot of damage. Wisp getting it ensnared twice as well. Not the cleanest creep, but it should get the job done. I believe once the wisp starts repairing, or he's actually not repairing now, he goes for an entangle instead. Definitely not the cleanest creep from Grinchy. I think if he had started repairing, it wouldn't have been so bad. He wouldn't have had to use another entangle. But yeah, on the other side, our Undead is going for the fast expansion. Already has a Ziggurat half completed. Our Night Elf does reach level 2 though because of killing the Acolyte earlier. Sadly, he had to use multiple entangles, so his mana pool is not as large as he would like. But he could get some damage done here. He could cancel the gold mine if it gets set up, and he could kill the Acolyte because he has enough mana for an entangle and for treants. So that should be the play from Grinchy. Summon treants to kill the gold mine, entangle the Acolyte. Yeah, we do see him summon the treants, going for the gold mine. I would like the entangle to also take out the Acolyte, and he does indeed do that as well. That will delay the expansion a bit. However, there is another Acolyte already. Sadly, he does not have another entangle, because as I said, he did have to use 2 entangles here on his own expansion to creep it. But he will get another cancel here, I believe. It is going to be a little close, but yeah, he does get another cancel, and that is actually huge. That's a lot of extra cost for the Undead, because haunted gold mines do take quite a bit of wood cost, but he does have a lot of ghouls here mining already, so not terrible for him, but his tech is going to be severely delayed. Grinchy, on the other hand, has managed to get his own expansion up. Very well protected as well, with a Wonders, a War, and a Moonwall here, as well as his archers just kind of shadow melded. He also is setting up to potentially block off his main to prevent some run-bys. And now he's going into the Undead main. I think I generally prefer Entangle here over Treants, because Treants just don't do enough to kill Acolytes. So yeah, as we can see, he can't really kill this Acolyte, but if he had gone for like an Entangle, maybe he could have got one. Yeah, Acolytes just have too much regen, are too fast on Blight, or just too fast in general, I mean, not with Blight. But the regen on Blight, just way too insane to kill with Treants. And we see an Undead Force moving out, but he has not actually hit level 3 yet, and it could be rough for our Undead, except Grinchy has exposed himself here. He does actually manage to get the creep. Nova does not come out. He would have liked to get that replenishment, but he was a little too scared of the Nova. He has a staff, very key here. He definitely needed that because he needs to replenish his keeper. He has it full mana, has full health now. He needs to get back as soon as possible, but with these trees to protect his archers a bit, he should actually be quite okay here. The Nova definitely going to be scary, and there is a dust, so he does need to run these archers around a bit, otherwise they're just going to get surrounded and killed. Yeah, losing the archers a little too quickly. You definitely want to make sure that you are running as much as possible, and then whenever the ghouls focus something else, whether it be a building or the treants, then you attack with the archers. Yeah, he lost too many archers too fast, and now it's actually looking a little awkward for our Night Elf. I do not know where the Keeper is going, but he was definitely not supposed to run back all the way to his base. I think just a little bit of missed micro there. He had already healed earlier, and he has plenty of mana. Yeah, not reaching level 3 yet for the Night Elf. Definitely going to hurt. This sort of push, you definitely want level 2 Entangle already, so that you can just one Entangle to basically kill a ghoul. Without that though, it is actually quite a bit rough, especially with those archers getting picked off before the Keeper arrived. Ooh, ghoul dying. Not the biggest deal, but, you know, you'd like to have every bit of unit you can. And we see a triple crypt, so it is likely going to be mass gargs. Potentially mass ghouls and run-bys. I do oftentimes see Lich with like Necro play as well because of how effective Lich is against wisps. And if you're able to just kill all the wisps with Nova, it's incredibly hard for Elf to actually dispel enough of the Necro push. So we see a second graveyard looking to get lots of upgrades, I guess, and he is going damage upgrades and Gargs right away. Our Night Elf, on the other hand, going into Dryads, Demon Hunter second. Definitely pretty powerful, and it's going to be up to him to manage to get high-level heroes as soon as possible, as well as trying to limit the undead as much as he can. Maybe get some entangle kills off, but he still has not reached level 3 Keeper, so it's going to be a bit difficult to do so. We see a ton of Dryads queued. He should probably cancel a couple of these just to either tech or purchase some upgrades, because he still has plenty of room for upgrades right now. He does not have any. Yeah, it looks like our Night Elf just looking to steal some camps. And this is actually pretty good for him because the Undead is taking a small green, whereas Grinchy is taking an orange camp from the Undead side. So if he can manage to take a lot of this XP on a map that does not have very many creeps, this can start to really swing back in our Elf's favor, especially because he's already past 50 food. Did miss the item, might be able to see it on the way back. But yeah, taking this camp as well is pretty huge, and he's just kind of delaying the Undead here by sending the trains in. It is a little bit of XP fed, but in return of getting this camp, definitely very worth. What item will we see here? Talisman, definitely not ideal. Does manage to go back and grab the ring. Missed a bit of XP on his demon there. He could have been much closer or even level 3 already if properly split of the XP there. And it looks like he might be trying to put some damage in here. Needs to be careful with these. Would like to see some upgrades. He has 3 Dryads queued and no Moonwell coming, as well as no upgrades. So upgrades would definitely be much better here. Does have tier 3 on the way though, and should be setting up a Moonwell, I believe, with that Wisp. And yeah, I actually don't mind the Elf trading bases here. Oh, he's actually going to defend. I am not sure how good this defense is because the demon was already half health. The Undead actually managed to TP instead though, so that actually worked out great for our Elf. I do think he could have instead just taken out the Acolytes and the towers, and taking out this extra 20 food on top of the 10 food here he already took out. Would have been pretty strong, but I guess he really wanted to just make sure his own base was up and running. I was a little worried there with a level 2 demon that had half health TPing in, but with all these Dryads, he's actually quite strong. The one thing he's severely lacking though is upgrades. And if he just cancels these, he could easily start affording some damage upgrades. So yeah, a little bit of miss macro, having too many units queued, not enough items, upgrades, etc. Yeah, this creep check could be pretty good if he realizes the Undead's here. I'm not sure if he'll see that or if he'll just go for the ghouls. Well, he might see the statue walking by though. Maybe, or maybe not. Okay, just going for the ghouls. And I think going for the ghouls is actually potentially better. Limiting ghouls helps so much in these fights because they are one of the heavy damage dealers to your heroes on the ground, as well as they just buy a lot of extra time for the Gargs to hit if your Dryads end up focusing them. Yeah, miss micro on that Garg there. Nice pick off by Grinchy. And he is getting quite a bit done here. The Undead's base is definitely scary with all these towers, but there should be an MG halfway by the tavern here going to show up soon, and that will help a lot. See another pendant on the Death Knight. Dryad kind of in a bad position, but the MG has arrived. This Dryad does get picked off, however, and the Undead has 2-0 damage upgrades, which is pretty strong. But this MG looked like he was taking a lot of damage. Yeah, he doesn't actually have Hardened Skinned yet, so this took a lot more damage than it should have been.
A town is under siege.
And he has 2 MGs queued up that aren't producing because he's already at 79 out of 80. I think in just a little bit of missed macro, it'd be much better to just cancel these, get your upgrades, get items like extra potions, heal scrolls. Now that he's tier 3, you'll probably pick up Orb of Venom and Staff. We see a Staff as well. He's getting clarity for his Keeper. So yeah, pretty nice pickups. Still these MGs queued, but you know, I guess if you technically don't need that gold yet, it's not a big deal. Bunch of ghouls here. You might be able to get 1 or 2 before the pullback. Okay, just 1. And yeah, now that Demon Hunter is level 3 though, he's actually sitting pretty strong. Tower's still quite scary, but with their position, it's actually a bit hard for the Acolytes to repair the front ones because they have to walk out in front themselves in order to get the surface area to repair it. Normally you would have your towers like here and here, like an arc type of thing. Yeah, Grinchy opting to just go for the main instead, and that's a very good choice. This is where all the production buildings are, and there's no defense. Death Knight also in an awkward spot will get entangled and focused down here, probably going to die. There's no way to save him, and that's a level up on the Keeper and a big hit for our Undead. Bit of miss micro there. I think he was just trying to pick up the Orb of Corruption on it, but now he never even got to pass it over. Should see an invuln come out here. Yeah, this hero focus, as long as Grinchy's prepared for it, he should be fine. He does still have a staff to staff his Keeper out if needed, and an entangle focus on the Lich drops quickly. Grinchy with a huge comeback this game. This game was a lot different. The Undead opted for upgrades on his Gargs rather than just lots of numbers of Gargs. And Grinchy, on the other hand, rather than getting upgrades, just went for lots of Dryads, and he jumped up to 80 food pretty quickly. So yeah, very nice comeback from Grinchy compared to the first game. This time his army size was pretty huge. He got up his expansion pretty easily, delayed the Undead's expansion with a couple cancels, and got his levels in decent time. And just when he took the fights, he committed to taking the fight. He didn't like just run around and lose Dryads, so that helped. Yeah, nice comeback from Grinchy that game. Just pumping units out, really. I mean, there was a bit of miss macro. He could have definitely had some damage / armor upgrades without limiting his unit production, because he actually had quite a bit of gold and wood. We saw 700 gold and 200 wood invested in 2 MGs that weren't actually producing because he was already at 79 out of 80, for instance. Instead, those could have just been upgrades producing. But apart from that, he did good in getting a couple invulns as well as protecting his heroes and just producing up to 80 food. You know, there wasn't really any slack there. GNL just got his units right away, stole some camps from the Undead side, and kept the pressure. So that worked really well for him. Much different from the first game, where it was a bit more back and forth, with the Undead getting a lot of nice pickoffs with some focus fire on the Dryads, and then GNL just kind of getting overwhelmed and losing his hero a couple times as well. Yeah, this third match could be quite different. Tidehunters being a fairly new map is definitely going to be interesting to see how they decide to play it. I believe GNL will likely go for the smallish orange camp nearby, and then will try to creep the gold mine as soon as possible, probably, and then expand. Not sure. For Undead, I am also not sure. He might go fast expo, or he might do... Okay, so we do see a ghoul build again, so it might be another fast expansion. And I think that's a decent play because the gold mine at the top right side is not too difficult to creep. But yeah, Eworm spawning at the top left as our green Undead. And at the bottom right, we got our pink Night Elf GNL, who is going for the small orange nearby and a standard build. The question is, will GNL go from here to the gold mine directly with like treants? Or is he going to go something like Demon Hunter and then creep this, followed by maybe harassing, or just kind of poking around? Not sure. We did see a Lich last time that Eworm went for the ghoul build like this, so that could be another possibility. He did, however, just lose with it, so oftentimes they'll go back to what they won with the game before, which was Death Knight. We'll see. He does actually go back to the Death Knight, but with a ghoul build, and might very well still be an expansion play. Likely see another Ziggurat here in a second. GNL, on the other hand, is going with the Demon Hunter, not a Keeper. So both going back to what they played the first game. Demon Hunter for GNL, Death Knight for our Undead player. Going for a Necropolis instead, just to have extra wood, I guess. Not sure if it was necessary, but it can be good, of course, if you're worried about Acolyte harass. There will likely not be Acolyte harass here though, because it is a Demon Hunter rather than a Keeper. Yeah, getting some nice creeping done. The question is, where does GNL go from here? Does he look to harass? Does he look to take a small green? Gets a claws, which can definitely be pretty good if he is harassing.
A player's forces
He would like to get a little bit of XP for level 2. So it looks like he is going to go for a small green first and then probably harass after. Not sure. Okay, it looks like he just really wants to get rid of this Acolyte instead. Yeah, Eworm on the other hand, creeping with some ghouls. Because he got a second Necropolis, he had that extra 50 wood, manages to get his tech done while using ghouls to creep. Continuing to produce ghouls, does not have another Ziggurat yet, but his Necropolis is just about to finish to give him that extra 10 food. And both players still looking to get level 2. GNL a bit wary of an expansion play, but the Undead is actually just creeping so far.
A player's forces
Should be able to get some damage on this ghoul if he wants. And without a Nerubian here, he might be able to pick it off if he chooses to chase it. But it looks like he's a bit indecisive. Our elf player unsure of where to go. Eworm, on the other hand, bit of miss micro, did not realize the ghoul was there or that it was chasing the demon. Maybe a bit distracted from his creeping. And Grinchy does spot the undead. Both players have reached level 2. Grinchy getting a nice hide off, and there is no dust to reveal it. Graveyard coming out, and a second crypt, so it will likely be Gargs again. And he does decide to just move out his archer now before dust arrives. Grinchy looking to just keep up the pressure, I think. Walks past some skeletons. But yeah, the undead's next likely creeps is going to either be the green turtle or the gold mine, I believe. But it looks like he's not bringing his ghouls with him, so it will probably just be the undead looking to harass, and then Grinchy just kind of defending that, trying to get some burns off. This may very well be a dead archer though, unless he gets some blocks off. Okay, he should be in range to get the heal in time. Was getting close to coil range. Ultra Vision coming out. Tier 2 finish for our Night Elf. And judging by the first game, we are likely to see another panda here. But, okay, we do see the panda. So he is wary of the Garg plus ghoul play. There is Gargs in production already. Another Ziggurat preparing to jump to 40 food soon. And now, question is, oh, he's putting up an early slaughter actually, likely to just get a statue. Yeah, the question is, where does Eworm go from here? Does he continue creeping? Does he harass wisps? Does he try to set up an expansion? And then Grinchy, on the other hand, doing some nice split creeping and harassing. Archer tanking a little bit more than it should, but it should be fine here. Panda getting XP. Demon Hunter trying to get some burns off. Ideally, you would like a level 3 demon, but it is level 2 versus level 2, so it's not that bad, and it's not bad to just kind of keep tabs on where the undead's going. Panda should probably head over to the gold mine next. Or maybe he's going to creep this orange with the Ancient of War. Needs to eat a tree first though. Yeah, looks like Undead's just trying to get some creeping done where he can rather than harass. But Grinchy has already minimalized his mana. So it's going to be rough for Undead to do a ton here at this point. Having no mana definitely hurts. And Grinchy does go for the gold mine. Should be able to creep it fairly easily. Panda will be taking quite a bit of damage. And if there's a creep jack here, could be quite dangerous, especially with the slow on the panda. He needs to be extremely careful here. That slow is hurting a lot. With those mana burns, he did manage to limit the undead's damage here. But the aura... No, the panda! No! He mismicroed it and turned it around. Oh no. Yeah, that is the panda falling, and possibly even more important is the undead is stealing the creeps here, which gets him a decent chunk of XP as well as denying XP from the elf, as well as an item, which I believe was the circlet. So a huge swing there for our undead player, reaching level 3 on his Death Knight. Not necessarily, you know, like game over or anything for our elf, because now he is progressing his DH to level 3 with some nice Ancient of War creeping. And then his panda is already back because it was only level 1 and has reached level 2 quite quickly as well. So yeah, we will likely see our elf player just trying to get another couple camps. Like this camp for instance, plus some like solo camping, solo creeping of one of these. This red's actually quite easy, especially with dryads and slow. So he could go for that, but we do see some harass coming in. There is a protector, but these wisps die much quicker than Gargs do to a protector, so can't really save them. You just have to hope you're getting enough done in the meantime. And he will need to produce more wisps because he's actually struggling in wood right now. The key thing for Grinchy here is to miss those Gargs. Is to make sure you don't have to have too many units defending and that you can keep creeping while this is happening. Because if you end up having to just chill here with your entire army, you will fall way too far behind because the Undead will end up pulling the Gargs back like this and just continue creeping.
A player's forces are under
So yeah, it looks like he's doing some nice movement with his Ancient of War. We'll be able to start the lab in a second. Should pull it with a Dryad, not the Demon Hunter, so he doesn't just get bolted instantly. Yeah, Ancient of War, tanking a bit. Should be a level 3 Panda off this as well. Needs to pass the Slippers at some point. Does lose the Ancient of War, but it has, for the most part, done its job. Not too big of a loss. Our Undead player does have 1 damage upgrade and has reached Citadel, producing a Lich who will also buy an orb. Has a armor upgrade on the way actually, and he's sitting quite strong. Our Undead player might start putting up a couple of Ziggurats soon, and then prepare to just jump into like 60-70 food soon after as well. After he gets his maybe like a heal scroll plus the Orb of Corruption. And yeah, Panda does reach 3. Lionhorn is actually pretty insane. Extra armor on these units can be extremely powerful against Gargs, because if you end up like surviving getting one shot by a volley of Gargs, that can provide a lot of extra tankiness in the long run. You see a lightning shield here, which definitely could find use against ghouls, but might just be sold. He does in fact sell it. Looking to heal up his Panda, maybe pick up these Dryads. Our Undead player, on the other hand, does pick up Scroll of Healing, does pick up Orb of Corruption, and now it looks like he's just trying to find our elf. Panda about to get caught. Should be fine. He does take quite a bit of damage, and Staff is not on cooldown yet. He actually uses his Greater Healing already. Nice breath coming out, and Heal Scroll to mitigate that. Should see some Focus Fire here. Dryads dropping quickly. Needs to pull these units back. Sadly, he has 2 Dryads in his base as well. And we just need to see a bunch of mana burns and another Breath of Fire to really put in some damage, because otherwise this Undead army is getting too much done. I think that was a bit preemptive on the Staff. He really needed that one more breath, because that breath could have killed this Garg and possibly brought this Garg down low. But I guess better safe than losing the Panda. Yeah, now he sees that those 2 Dryads were there, picks them up. Supply count wise, not looking terrible for our Night Elf player, but that fight was definitely in great favor of the Undead. Grinchy didn't really pick off much of anything, if anything, maybe 1 Garg. And the Night Elf, on the other hand, picked off, I believe, a couple Dryads, a couple Archers, and forced a Greater Heal Potion and a TP. So big swing towards our Undead's favor, and he has already pushed to 59 food now, picking up a Pit Lord. He's taking the tougher red camp, but could get a pretty big item here. Grinchy, on the other hand, going to take out the easier red camp, I believe, or maybe he'll go for the orange. There is actually an item here. Free Scroll of the Beast, by the way. 200 gold, by the way. Yeah, I think this camp's actually like even easier than this one for some armies like this. But GNL will likely take both anyways. And he does have an expansion up now. It is not currently saturated, but he should be queuing up some wisps in a second. And he should be taking this red. Ooh. He's actually moving out to the center. Going to get a Dryad caught. And I'm not sure if this is the fight he wants to take. You'd really like to produce a little more and sell this Beast Scroll before you actually take a fight here. And yeah, he does choose to back off, but he is going to take some losses from this. 2 Dryads and an Archer falling. An Invuln being used. And very, very awkward position for our Night Elf here. Producing an MG and a Dryad, which won't be ready for quite a while. This expansion is in rough shape as well. Wisps getting focused. We'll have to pull them back or they will die to cleave. He does come in here though. Dryad getting focused again. Panda needs to get his Haze Breath off. Dropping weak, needs to get his staff. Does not get the staff in time and the Panda falls. Now it's just up to the Demon Hunter, but against a level 5 Death Knight, it is looking rough for our Night Elf player. And the Undead force just a bit too overwhelming here. He is now level 3 Lich as well, so the nuke is going to be extremely tough to deal with. And he is also setting up his own counter expansion in the meantime. For our Night Elf, honestly at this point, it's definitely really rough that he's also giving up this red camp. Because that could very well be a level 3 Pit Lord as well now. But yeah, otherwise, the Night Elf simply just has to camp at this point. I feel like you kind of just have to sit at 50 food as long as you can now. And then just break all the way to like 70 and push. Because there's not really any creeps. You can't realistically push now anyways. So it's going to be tough. He does have 2 damage upgrades, which can be quite powerful.
A player's forces
especially combined with Stormwind to compensate for the armor. But yeah. He realistically can't move out here. I think he wants to check the red, but the Undead is already taking it. And there's just nothing left for our elf. He can try to harass this, but he has no TP. So it is very risky to go in here at all. And he does not actually have his Panda yet either, so yeah. He does go for a Mana Burn, however, gets Nova'd, gets Coiled. We actually do see level 3 Aura again, as opposed to level 3 Coil. Yeah, he needs to get these Dryads out of there, he's just losing them quickly. Yeah, this is not the fight you want to take as our Night Elf. I don't think he realized how far behind he was, and that he just couldn't fight right now. But yeah, now he realizes, and he calls the GG, our Undead taking the game and the series 2-1. I think for GNL's side, it definitely did not look bad for him for quite a while. He reached level 3 on both of his heroes, but it was just similar to the first game where slight mispositions just resulted in his heroes and his Dryads taking a lot of extra damage before the fight really actually occurred. Like we saw him having to use a greater heal potion in the one fight in the middle before they actually attacked each other. Like the elf hadn't even started fighting back yet and the greater heal potion was already gone. And then we saw like a couple Dryads getting taken out later. So small things to work on positioning and making sure that when you take those fights or when you get caught into those fights, you can actually take them. But otherwise, it was definitely pretty close. It could have very well gone either way with what the hero levels were at.